Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting of Monday, January the 13th. Happy New Year. Welcome, everyone. It's great to be back for the year 2020. This is our first council meeting. I first want to start off, I'll introduce everybody at the table with me. We have our city clerk, Jason Prévost. We have Councillor David Torgman, Councillor Oren Sabag, Councillor Mike Cohen, myself, your Mayor Mitchell Brownstein, Councillor Dita Burku, Councillor Stephen Erdely, Councillor Sidney Ben-Isri, Councillor Mitch Kajavsky, our City Manager, Tanya Abramovich, our Co-City Manager, Jonathan Schechter. Before I start the meeting, I'd like to make some comments regarding the flight that was shot down in Iran, Flight 752. For many Canadians, the New Year's brought the unbearable news of the loss of their family and friends aboard Ukrainian International Airlines Flight 752 in Tehran on January the 8th. The Canadians lost in this tragedy were in many cases returning home after visiting grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, and friends in Iran. It's heartbreaking to read about those who were lost. 8 were from Quebec. There were newlyweds who had traveled to Iran to get married. They had both recently earned their master's degrees in engineering at Concordia University. Another couple had recently earned their PhDs from Montreal's École de Technologie Supérieure. 2 classmates who were trained to be welders at a Montreal Technical College also perished. A mother of 3 who managed an art gallery, a draftsman at Bombardier. When an event like this happens, one realizes how much our lives is outside our control. We need to remember that every day is precious, every moment is precious. In the end, all we can really control is how we treat each other. Whether we acted kindly, whether we took a moment to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. And I wish to express my condolences to the families who are grieving today in Canada, Iran, Ukraine, Sweden, Afghanistan, and the United Kingdom, and to all of the world that mourns their loss with them. So on that sad note, we will move on to a happier topic, which certainly follows with the theme that I just sort of went towards, which is the book I Love You. And that is being presented today. And I'm going to have Councillor Cohen explain the presentation, and Councillor David Torgman, whose portfolio is the library, will accept this wonderful book titled I Love You.
Thank you very much. I've had the good pleasure of having a lot of communication with Asaf Havilio in the last few months, and he sent me a copy of his book, which is just fantastic, and I shared with Councillor Torgman that we definitely should have this in the library. I shared with you, Mr. Mayor, this wonderful book, and we wanted to take the step when a resident of our community does something special. It's great to recognize them here at a council meeting, which is on our which will be on our website on YouTube, so everyone will be able to see this presentation. So Asaf is 45 years old. He's born in Jerusalem, and he came to Montreal 12 years ago. He came all the way to Montreal to find an Israeli in Montreal to marry, Merav. And Merav is a former teacher at Solomon Schechter, Councillor Erdely, so before your time. But and they have 4 kids. And he's a graphic designer and works in marketing and sales. And he created this beautiful book. The book is explaining and teaching how to say I love you in different languages. On each page, he chooses the symbol of each country, as well as an explanation of how to pronounce I love you and also how to write I love you in each language. And at the beginning of the book, there's a background story with the 2 main characters that travel around the world and explore different cultures. And yes, Mr. Mayor, you just talked about a tragedy of a country that is embedded with hatred. And here we're talking about something universal and how we should all be friendly and cordial and see the best in people. So we're very happy to have him here today, and I'd ask the Mayor and David Torgman to come with me in the front, and he will present a copy of the book. Him and Merav will present a copy of the book for us, and then we will transfer it to Janine West so that it could be put up in our library. So,
thank you. go here first? One more? Sorry, can I ask you?
Actually, Daryl's going to make sure
Yeah, why don't you-
you're heard on YouTube, so go ahead. Go ahead.
So the book is based on a true story. In the beginning of the book, you have the story of the book. It's the background story, and it's a journey of Mr. Explorer and Miss Languages doing. And there's a very important message that this book is bringing. It's like love is universal, and it's existing in each one of us. And after that, when they write in the book, there's on each country, you can see you have the how you say I love you in every language, and how you write I love you.
Beautiful.
And my goal is that because it's different cultures and different languages, that my goal is that this will help to make peace, because people need to learn about different cultures and different languages. And that's it.
And how long did it take you to write the book?
10 years.
10 years. Okay, so the next one comes out, the sequel's in 10 years.
I wish the next one will be sooner than that. I
Okay.
already have an idea, but it takes time.
Terrific. Well,
Yeah.
when we get rights for the movie, we're going to have the Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society.
Sounds like a good
Maybe
plan.
it'll be another play.
Maybe
for the
it'll be our
Dramatic
next
Society.
play.
I
Who
love you
knows?
in every different language.
Could be an interesting show and
All
good
right,
for
the
kids.
Executive producer Kajavsky's taking notes.
Yeah, it can be a nice
All right.
movie.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much again. Thank you for coming. Okay.
Sure, sure. Okay, so now we're going to move to question period. And our first questioner of the evening is Leslie Perez. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm Leslie Perez. I live at 6700 The Avenue. So in September of 2007, we introduced a pilot project for composting. The whole goal of that was to reduce waste by 60%. Today, I stand before you because I found out in my own building, a brand new building, we do not compost, we do not recycle. For months, I've been going down with my garbage 3 to 4 times a week, not my garbage, my recycling, only to find out today we do not recycle. We're building new buildings. Freud has been approved. What is the plan for new construction to ensure that we are properly composting and recycling in the future?
Thank you.
Especially in a time where we have marches of 500,000 people in Montreal protesting for climate change.
Excellent. So do one of you guys want to answer it? I know Stephen has some very good input on
So,
that.
first, if I may, in terms of statistics, in the city of Côte Saint-Luc, we've more than tripled the diversion rate, and we've cut the amount of waste going to landfill by more than a third, by more than 33% in the last, last 10, 12 years or so. In terms of new buildings, we passed a bylaw, and I believe we are the first, if not one of the first, I don't want to necessarily say the first because I may be wrong, but we are one of the first cities in the country to have a bylaw that any new construction has to have 3 options for waste. So the chute has to have an option for garbage, for organic waste, and for recycling. Now, in this case, this is a new building, so there are issues without getting into too many details.
Right.
And especially, I don't know all the details, so I don't want to say anything I shouldn't, other than there's been issues with this specific building getting things up and going. But my understanding is the building is designed with a system, a tri-chute or a triple chute, as is the case for the new building that is put up on Marc Chagall. And any new building From this point, or I guess this bylaw was adopted a few years ago, from that point forward, any new building will have the triple chute option. Like I said, in terms of the specific building, I know that it is part of the plan, I know it's being worked on, but I know there are other logistical issues that have slowed it down, among other issues with that building.
But
Okay.
thank you for bringing this to our attention, because we
Yes.
certainly want to make sure that it does happen, and particularly in that building, since they're supposed to
Absolutely.
do it.
Right.
You're supposed to be able to go right out of your hallway and go and
Exactly.
have the 3 chute.
Exactly, especially for seniors, because it's
Right.
very difficult for them to be able to go down to a garage to be able to recycle. So we do need to be mindful of that as well. And just another question, what about our school cafeterias? Are we putting any, measures to ensure that our students in schools are recycling and composting as well?
Go ahead.
I actually helped to move forward with a pilot project at JPPS, so they've actually started a compost pilot there. I think we should be doing it at all our schools. In fact, I'm actually starting to advocate for composting in Florida, because we were down there on vacation, and everything goes to landfill. There's some recycling, but there's zero composting in many states in the U.S., so I'm working another angle.
Okay.
Not my part.
Do we know when this is
But,
going to apply in other schools locally? Because I've seen,
I'm not sure, but,
No?
I have it on my short list to reach out to the other local schools that aren't doing these pilot projects yet.
Okay.
JPPS move forward. I know there's other schools on Public Works list, and they're going as quickly as they can to roll it out, and providing them with startup materials and bins. So it's on our radar, and the faster we go, the better.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you may.
And just to add, there are programs already in place at some of the other public schools in Côte Saint-Luc. Merton, for example, Côte de la Mosaïque, and I believe also École des Amis du Monde as well has it. So I have to admit, it's happening in many schools. In some schools, it's at a larger scale because of the local participation. The more local participation there is, the better it runs. That's ultimately the case. The city has done our share to educate students and the staff, but it has to also come from within the school. And those schools where it have been successful. Those schools that haven't participated as much have not been as successful.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
absolutely.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Our next questioner is Constantine Simon.
Good evening.
Good evening, welcome.
My name is Constantine Sandman. I'm a resident. I live at 5799 Rembrandt, but I have a question. I'm a landlord at 8035 Kildare. The question that I have is the City of Côte Saint-Luc planning to establish or enforce any existing bylaws concerning the conversion of residential homes into religious establishments of worship?
Are we planning any bylaws? We already have rules on that, as you know, and some are in conformity and others are not. And definitely, the city is studying that issue to determine what to do in terms of going forward.
Okay. In my situation, if I may, the property that I own on Kildare, the neighbors on one side, the house was sold. It was converted recently into a religious establishment, area of cult, and it's causing some disturbances. So that's why I'd like to know, as a citizen, as a resident.
So this is on Kildare. Are we aware of this?
It's 8035 Kildare, but it's between Hudson, so 5750 Hudson, the house that I'm talking about.
Well, could you, I don't know if you provided our urban planning department with any information you have, but if you can, that would be helpful. We'd appreciate it.
Okay, so I should address this to the
Urban planning department, so they're fully aware of what's going on.
In favor, if you could, you can send me an email if you'd like.
Okay.
I can provide you with my information afterwards, and I can speak to urban planning about it.
Thank
And
you.
with the neighbors as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. Councillor Kajavsky.
So approved? Yes?
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky for the minutes of, we're going to be able to do them all at once, Major
Yeah.
Schechter?
It's,
Okay, moved by Councillor Kajavsky and seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously, and now we... Yep.
The mic.
Sure. The special meeting of December 16th, 2019, 6:30 PM, and the special meeting of December 18th, 2019 at 6:30.
Thank you, Maitre Schechter. So moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Passed unanimously, and now we moved on to business arising from the minutes. Any business arising from the minutes? Okay. Departmental reports. Councillor Benizri.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que les rapports mensuels des services pour décembre 2019 soient et sont par la présente approuvés tels que soumis.
OK. Proposé par le conseiller Benizri, appuyé par le conseiller Torgman. Est-ce qu'il y a de discussion? There always is. So who would like to speak first? Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, one of my constituents on Sir Walter Scott, David Chandler, he's had a fantastic exhibit at the library of his art since December. It's actually photographs that he's taken that look like pieces of art. He was the winner of the second annual juried art show held last July. David will be giving another talk concerning his works. He's a retired teacher on January 17th at 2 p.m. in the library. Just another note on two things that the constituents have been calling me about. The Quebec government has made some changes regarding dog bylaws, dog legislation. So has the City of Montreal. The City of Montreal is now requiring owners of dogs to have their animal microchipped. I have spoken to Maitre Schechter, and we are working on modifying our bylaw regarding dogs so that we will, I hope, make it mandatory as well. The fact that NDG is right next to us, the vet has, where I go very often, has told me that they're getting a lot of calls from people in Côte Saint-Luc asking if it's a law here. Well, officially it's not, but I think anybody who owns a dog and a cat should have them microchipped, because the moment they get loose, that's the only way for someone to detect who they belong to. So I'd recommend people do it in the interim, but I hope that we will pass a bylaw to that effect. The same thing in the Quebec government, which has changed the dangerous dog bylaws, and hopefully we'll have some news on tightening that bylaw up as well, following those guidelines in the coming weeks or months. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Councillor Torgman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have the annual review of the library is online, or it will be online in the next day. I just wanted to give you some highlights from last year. There's almost 10,000 active members, 435,000 visits to the library, over 350,000 items checked out, and 15,000 people have attended the various programs at the library. Why am I telling you this? Is because the library is such an active element within the city, offering so much more than books, and now we have the I Love You book going to be in the library in the next days. So I encourage you to come visit the library. There's also a session from January 8th to January 22nd where children have an opportunity to read to therapy dogs, which is a great way for kids to learn how to read without the pressure of reading to an adult, for example. And it's been a fantastic program with a lot of success, so they're running it again. And a particular shout out to all of the staff of the library for running a phenomenal program. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Erdely first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Update a few items on the finance portfolio. First, all residents should be receiving their tax bill shortly, towards the end of January. You'll also be getting a budget flyer which outlines some of the key details of the latest budget. It's available, the information is available on our city website as well. You can see the full PowerPoint presentation. You can also see the video, although I have to admit I haven't checked the video. That was the day, I'm giving a thumbs up from our Director of Communication, that was the day we had a few power failures, so I hope that the video came out, and thanks to the great editing of our communication team, even with power failures going on, it still came out okay. Just a reminder for residents, the average tax increase for family homes, including single-family homes, condos, and townhouses, is 1.2% this year, which is below the rate of inflation. The first tax installment is due February 25th. The second one is due on May 25th. And just to share a few other miscellaneous items in terms of the latest stats, up to December 31st, we had 140 permits for carports or tempos. And at December 31st, we had 720 dog and cat permits. I don't have the breakdown, but I imagine the vast majority of those were for dogs. And that's it to report for now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I also, okay, before passing it over to Councillor Kajaski, I just want to make mention of the fact that Councillor Kajaski now also holds the portfolio of Parks and Recreation and Seniors, which was formerly held by Ruth Kovac. Of course, we always think of Ruth Kovac dearly, and we know that Councillor Kajaski is going to make her proud. And the engineering portfolio, which was run by Councillor Kajaski, has been given to Councillor Torgman. So those are a couple of changes in portfolios for the 2019 year. Go ahead, Councillor Kajaski.
Okay, how do you follow that? Okay,
Well,
so,
let's
yeah,
do it.
it's an honor to be in the Parks and Recreation portfolio. It's obviously, it's something that's dear to my heart, being that I have young kids, and we're big users of the Aquatic Centre and all the activities. So I'll do my best to fill the very, very large shoes left by Councillor Kovac's passing. I should just correct you, Mr. Mayor, the seniors portfolio, I believe, is Councillor Benizri, yes?
Okay, so senior still stays with you. There was
So I don't
something
get
else.
seniors, I just get.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's okay. So with regards to Parks and Recreation, it gives me a lot of new respect for the department, given that there is so much going on in the department. I don't know how Ruth did it and boiled it down every month, but you just have to pick a couple of highlights of what's going on, because they do so much, from Winter Carnival to the Valentine's Day dance to the Dramatic Society. I mean, you can go on I could speak for an hour, but I won't. So that said, really what's going on this month in Parks and Rec is registrations for upcoming activities. The swimming lessons and various activities begin in 2 weeks, so if you're going to, or next week I should say, so if you're going to register, do it now, as well as summer camp registrations. And from the Dramatic Society side, we've got a puppet show coming up, which I mentioned last month, and I'll mention it again because it's before the next public meeting. Puppet show for kids from age, let's say, 4 to 10 on February 2nd at the Harold Greenspon Auditorium downstairs from here. It's the first time we have puppets in Côte Saint-Luc, so it's very exciting. And we have our winter comedy beginning on February 12th, running till February 16th, which is the same day as Winter Carnival, so we've got a lot going on in that week. That's Merton of the Movies. We open on Wednesday the 12th, is that correct? Let's say Wednesday,
somewhere around
February 12th. That's it
Okay.
for me for now. Thank you.
you. Councillor Sabag.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick note, as we ended 2019 and we were with friends and families, not only on New Year's Day, but also during the Hanukkah period and Christmas period, that we had our EMS volunteers, our vCop volunteers, and obviously our public safety covering some of the shifts to make sure that we respond effectively, even during the holiday period, to our residents. And a couple of words on District 1. The Majestic building is going up, and the pourings are happening. The cement pourings are happening almost on a weekly basis, depending on obviously the weather. We are communicating with the residents as much as we can, letting them know about the project and how it's moving forward and some of the limitations around their neighborhoods. And I also will be communicating with them that we are going to be getting a presentation finally from on February 3rd, I believe, for the concept of the redevelopment of the Carey Square.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so moved by Councillor Benizri, seconded by Councillor Torgman. All in favor of the departmental reports? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And we move to item number 5, Financial Services, 5A. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Bylaw 2541, entitled Bylaw 2541, authorizing a loan of $1,628,000 for the resurfacing of various roads and sidewalks, repairs at various locations belonging to the City of Côte Saint-Luc be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Benizri. Any discussion?
So just to mention two things. Every year, over the last few years, we've done a significant portion of sidewalks. So the last few years, we've repoured concrete for 9,250 meters of sidewalk. This year, in terms of roads, we had planned for some roads, but we're still finalizing specifically which roads will be done. But that will be finalized very shortly, and we'll be going to tender as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All, yep. Councillor Torgman?
I'm voting in favor of this resolution, but I just want to state the fact that I always believe that we need to invest more heavily in our infrastructure. I think there's significant shortfalls in investment in our infrastructure, and we're seeing it by the quality of our roads. So I'm voting in favor, but just with that reservation.
Any other comments? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to item number 5B. Councillor Torgman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Que le règlement 2442, intitulé Règlement 2442, autorisant un emprunt de 1 796 000 $ pour l'achat et l'installation de divers feux de circulation et lumières de rue d'Elle à divers endroits sur le territoire de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, soit et par la présente adopté.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Torgman, seconded by Councillor Early. That was the other one. Councillor Early. Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm
Councillor.
sorry. I had to mention. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that thing. Professional services. Thank you, I appreciate that. So this project is to change, it's part of a 5-year phased-out project to upgrade the lighting that we have in the City of Côte Saint-Luc from high-pressure sodium and mercury halide lighting to LED lighting. Obviously for efficiency, but we also have to replace the cabling that goes underneath and the poles in many instances. So this will upgrade safety, road safety, and obviously pedestrian safety throughout the city as we upgrade our lighting and save us money on energy usage.
Okay. All right. Anyone else with comments? No? Okay. So moved by Councillor Torgman, seconded by Councillor Erdely. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to 5C. Councillor Kajavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Small park upgrades, yes? Okay. Be it resolved that bylaw 2543, entitled bylaw 2543, authorizing loan of $315,000 for small park upgrades and playground, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to item number D. Councillor Kajavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 1 second, please. Be it resolved that bylaw 2545, no, 2544, sorry, wrong page, hold on.
44.
There we go. Be it resolved that bylaw 2544, entitled bylaw 2544, authorizing a loan of $750,000 for the replacement of the roof at the Samuel Moskovitch Arena, situated at 6985 Mackle Road, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
Won't speak for itself like the prior bylaw. It's authorizing a loan for the replacement of the roof at the arena.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to item E. Councillor Benizri.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. Est résolu que le règlement 2545, intitulé Règlement 2545, autorisant un emprunt de 263 000 $ à financer les services professionnels pour des travaux de rénovation à la Cour des travaux publics située au 7001 chemin Mackle, soit et est par la présente adopté.
Proposé par le conseiller Benizri, appuyé par le conseiller Erdely. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. You're opposed. Okay, and now we move on to item, so it's carried. You have it in the minutes with Councillor Torgman dissenting. Item number F. Councillor Benizri.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. est résolu que le règlement 2546, intitulé Règlement 2546 autorisant un emprunt de 372 000 $ pour l'achat de véhicules et d'équipements, soit et est par la présente adopté.
OK, proposé par le conseiller ministre, appuyé par le conseiller Erdely. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
Juste pour mentionner que cette résolution, la prochaine résolution, c'est pour acheter des véhicules et de la machinerie et équipements lourds pour les travaux publics. On parle de camions, de camionnettes, de balais de rue, de chargeuses avec souffleuses, de tracteurs, boîtes à sel et de déchiqueteuses. Voilà, c'est juste pour vous donner un petit peu une idée de l'équipement qui va être acheté.
OK. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And we move to item G. Councillor Ben-Israel.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le règlement 2547, intitulé Règlement 2547 autorisant un emprunt de 909 000 $ pour l'achat de véhicules lourds et d'équipements de véhicules lourds, soit et est par la présente adopté.
OK, proposé par le conseiller Ben-Israel, appuyé par le conseiller Erdely. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? No?
Non, ça va.
Okay, so moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And now we move to item H. Councillor Kajafsky, notice of motion and a tabling.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry. Give me one sec. What page one? Yeah, that's what I thought. There. I hereby table notice motion that bylaw 2550 to be entitled bylaw 2550 concerning the purchase and installation of baseball field fences at Pierre Elliott Trudeau Park situated at 6975 Mackle Road and the application of the sum of $74,000 taken from the available balance of bylaw 2480 in view of financing expense of $74,000 will be presented at a later meeting for adoption.
And you'd like to table? Notice of motion
Yep.
and table.
I mentioned the object and the scope of bylaw 2550 to be entitled bylaw 2550 concerning the purchase and installation of baseball field fences at Pierre Elliott Trudeau Park situated 6975 Mackle Road and the application of the sum of $74,000 taken from the available balance of bylaw 2480 in view of financing expense of $74,000.
Okay, good.
There, I hereby table draft bylaw 2550 to be entitled bylaw
That's
2550.
okay. That's all you need to say.
No,
That's
am I
perfect. You
good?
tabled it. And now we go to
Fine.
item number H.
Yeah, it's just going around in circles.
No, number I. You did H. Now I.
Yep. I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2551 to be entitled bylaw 2551 concerning the purchase and installation of sound baffling for the indoor pool at the Aquatic and Community Centre situated at 5794 Parkhaven Avenue and the application of the sum of $128,000 taken from the available balance of bylaw 2480 in view of financing an expense of $128,000 will be presented at a later meeting for adoption.
And you will table said bylaw.
We're good?
And tabling of said bylaw. Perfect.
I hereby table said bylaw.
Beautiful. And now we move to item number J. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approves and adopts the investment policy.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So if I may
Councillor
explain
Erdely,
briefly.
Please.
What this policy does is it sets out the rules by which the treasurer can invest money. So what happens from time to time, the city has money that's in its savings, and in, let's say, a general savings account, as you can imagine, you're getting a fraction of a percent in terms of interest. So it often occurs at certain points of the year, in particular after, let's say, the first tax installment is due in February, towards the end of February and the end of May, where the city has money, and of course, we don't necessarily need to spend all that money right away. So what this allows us to do is invest some of that money in a higher interest savings account, or a GIC, or a term deposit, and so on. It sets out the rules by which the treasurer can do it, and the rules by which he reports it. And the goal of this is to try to ensure that if the city does have some extra money, that we do earn some interest on that. And of course, hopefully that will offset other costs and help in the long term benefit all residents.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And then we move to the next item, which is Councillor Erdely, disbursements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of December 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019 for a total amount of $4,748,247.38 in Canadian funds, and that Treasurer's Certificate number 19-0155 dated January 7th, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion? Councillor Erdely?
Just to mention some of the highlights, so this month is slightly higher than our average disbursement, which is closer to about $3 million. So it includes some items such as snow removal, so snow removal bills, salt, includes the funding for the Public Works Dome, where many of the vehicles are parked, and for traffic light synchronization.
Okay, so that's moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And now we move to item number 6, which is Human Resources. 6A, Councillor Kajavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the appointment of Victor Weiskris as an Outdoor Rink Supervisor into a management position for a fixed-term contract effective from December 2nd, 2019 to March 15th, 2020. The Treasurer's Certificate number 20-0002 dated January 7th, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
It's the hiring of a rink supervisor to supervise the outdoor rink at Richard Schwartz Park. And being the self-appointed amateur weatherman on council, it looks like we're going to get a lot of good outdoor skating done in the next couple of weeks.
Good. And Mr. Weigrass has been with us for many years, so we wish him all the best. Yes.
Just to add one more item, of course, as Councillor Kajavsky mentioned, we hope the weather cooperates. One other thing to mention for this year, we've extended it to the middle of March. In previous years, we had only gone till the end of February, and what we found the last few years, the beginning of March tended to still be good, cold weather. So hopefully, well, not let's say for the sake of everyone, but for the sake of the skaters, hopefully the cold weather will stay until March 15th, and we'll get an extra 2 weeks of skating this year. Thank you.
Okay, moved and seconded. Away with the rain and with the skating ice. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. There'll be ice. 6B, Councillor Torchman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the City of Côte Saint-Luc ratifies the hiring of Cody Sidley as library technician, white-collar auxiliary position, effective September 30th, 2019. That the Treasurer's Certificate number 19-0132, dated November 4th, 2019, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Torchman, seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move on to item 6C. Councillor Sabag.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc approves the status change of the position of Division Chief of Public Security and vCop currently held by Jean-Marc Dubois from contract management to permanent management effective January 6, 2020, that the Treasurer's Certificate number 20-0004 dated January 7, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any discussion?
Yeah, so when we approved the original Division Chief Public Security position, this was under a temporary contract, and I'm very happy to announce that Jean-Marc Dubois is now a permanent, this is his permanent position as approved by Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Sabag. We're all very happy about that. Jean-Marc Dubois has been an excellent management individual. He is appreciated by the volunteers, by staff, and we're really lucky to have him, and we wish him lots of success. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And then we move on to item D. Councillor Benizri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the appointment of Israel Fegenbaum to the superior function of driver-operator of motorized equipment B, according to Article 3.03 of the Blue Collar Collective Agreement, effective December 5th, 2019. The Treasurer's Certificate Number 20-0003, dated January 7, 2020, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Benizri, seconded by Councillor, who wants to second, Izzy?
It was
Councillor
Mike.
Cohen. Yeah, any discussion? No? Okay, Mr. Feigenbaum has been with us for many years, and we're pleased to see him being appointed in this position. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to item E, Councillor Benizri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the appointment of Patrick Touchette to the superior function of motorized equipment operator A, effective December 23, 2019. The Treasurer's Certificate Number 20-0001, dated January 7, 2020, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Benizri, seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any discussion? So, same thing again, moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to legal. Item 7A, Councillor Torchman. Dealing with mending certain speed on streets.
That bylaw 2321-5, entitled Bylaw 2321-5, amending Bylaw 2321, concerning the speed in the streets in order to modify the speed limit on Côte Saint-Luc Road between the western limit of the same and Westminster Avenue, be and is hereby adopted.
So that is moved by Councillor Torchman and seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
So just a clarification of all of that. We're just changing the speed limit on the sections of Côte Saint-Luc Road from Westminster to the golf course, with the exception of the 30-kilometer-an-hour zone, that's the park zone. But that section of roadway will now be 40 instead of 50, like the rest of Côte Saint-Luc Road.
So moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously, and now we move to Parks and Recreation. Councillor Kajavsky, 8A, with the new fee schedule.
This is again just a tabling.
This is the notice.
Notice of motion.
Notice of motion of the draft bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hereby give notice of motion that Bylaw 2540, to be entitled Bylaw 2540, creating the fee schedule for culture, sports, and leisure activities for the spring and summer of 2020, will be presented at a later meeting for adoption, and I hereby table said bylaw.
Thank you. Now we move to item number 9A, Councillor Burku. 9A, approval of financial assistance agreement concerning cannabis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the non-recurring financial assistance in the amount of $4,830,039 was paid by the Ministère des Affaires municipales to the City of Montreal, the main municipality of the Montreal Agglomeration, to meet the needs of the City of Montreal and all the other cities which are part of the Montreal Agglomeration, including the City of Côte Saint-Luc, in connection with the legalization of cannabis for the fiscal years 2019 and 2020. Whereas according to the distribution established by the Ministère des Affaires municipales, the amount to which the City of Côte Saint-Luc is entitled is $51,741, whereas in order for the city to accept this financial assistance, the city must sign an agreement with the City of Montreal specifying the terms and conditions of payment. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby approve the financial assistance agreement, and that the city's co-city manager or general counsel be and hereby authorized to sign the financial assistance agreement on the city's behalf.
Moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
So basically, the Quebec government has allocated $4.8 million to the agglomeration. We are entitled to about $51,000 in order to pay for, or partially pay for the installation of signage for the purposes of educating our public with regard to the use of cannabis and where it can and cannot be used, and also other, this money can be used for other programs or other expenses that we've had in relation to the implementation of the bylaw with regard to cannabis.
Thank you, Councillor Burku. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And now we move to item 9B. Councillor Burku.
9B.
Disclosure agreement with regarding CP and the City of Montreal
Okay.
and the Cavendish extension.
Okay, so again, I'm going to read the whereases because the resolution is very laconic. Whereas on November 23, 2015, City of Montreal signed a non-disclosure agreement with Canadian Pacific Railways concerning the connection of Cavendish Boulevard, non-disclosure agreement, and CP ratified the non-disclosure agreement in December 2015, whereas CP confirmed to the City of Montreal through a letter that it agrees to include City of Côte Saint-Luc as a party in the non-disclosure agreement, whereas on December 4th, 2019, a regular meeting of the Executive Committee of the City of Montreal decided under Resolution CE 1865 to approve draft amendment to include the City of Côte Saint-Luc in the non-disclosure agreement, whereas the City of Côte Saint-Luc wishes to become a party to the non-disclosure agreement. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc Council approves the amendment to the non-disclosure agreement, and the City's General Council be and is hereby authorized to sign the amendment to the non-disclosure agreement on the City's behalf.
Moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Sebag. Any discussion?
So basically, the City of Montreal has been negotiating with CP with regard to the Cavendish extension and the ways in which the Cavendish extension will be routed through the yards. And these discussions are ongoing. We have been apprised of many of the discussions, but we wanted to be part of the non-disclosure agreement so that we would be part of the negotiations. And so that's what this does. It allows us to be part of that.
We have a very good relationship with CP Rail and as well as with Montreal on many files, including this file. And CP Rail was more than happy to have the City of Côte Saint-Luc participate in the discussions, the negotiations of the exact configuration and the manner in which traffic, car traffic, and other type of traffic, public transit, would be using the Cavendish extension. This file has been going on for a very long time, but it is good to be sitting at the table with all the players making what appear to be the final decisions with respect to how the road will be built. That doesn't mean that it's being built any time soon. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but at least we're at the table and we're moving forward on the file and being informed of what is going on. So that's good news. In addition to that, we are working with all the other cities on multiple transit options that have nothing to do with this resolution, but go in conjunction with the whole problem of crossing to Carry, and we're going to keep the public informed of our progress with respect to all the ideas that we've come up with along with our partners. So moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And
Just for the purpose of clarification, I think the final paragraph also read that the city's general counsel be and is hereby authorized to sign the amendment to the non-disclosure agreement on the city's behalf.
I didn't read that?
It's possible that,
I did.
okay, I'm sorry.
I think I did.
Okay, perfect.
okay, so yeah, moved and carried unanimously. All right, now we move to item number 10, Councillor Burkett. Oh no, it's deferred. We are deferring number 10. So now we move to number 11, Councillor Cohen.
Oh, yes, sir.
It's just stances on the
Agglomeration.
next agglomeration meeting. Where is it? Let me say.
I've got it.
Yeah, here it is.
I got it. I so move that council take the following stance in view of any agglomeration council meetings to be held in February 2020 as follows: to authorize the mayor or his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the City of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the Agglomeration Council meetings to be held in February 2020, based on the information to be presented during those meetings.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Spag. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move on to item number 12, other business. Number 13, second question period related to any questions on the agenda. So then I move for closing of the meeting. Councillor Sabag moves
So
adjournment.
moved. So moved.
Seconded by Councillor Cohen. All in favor? All in favor of adjournment? We are adjourned. Thank you.